Well, hello. Welcome back. I don't know if you heard, but there are some new changes this week. Changes to our beloved bamboo wood. And the Vex, it looks different. In fact, it is different. We'll get to that later though. And the creative inventory. It was almost complete, they said. And yet here we are, once again. It's been changed. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. And don't worry, we'll go in there later. Before we do though, we need to direct our attention elsewhere. To a place where bamboo is plenty. Ah yes, I believe we are here, in the lands where bamboo is more than abundant. And it's here that we are in the perfect place to look at our first new feature, because we're gonna need a lot of this stuff. Oh wow, and would you look at that, someone has left a nice little campsite for us to use. I think we'll stay here for a bit, and perhaps we'll even borrow a few of their belongings. To get us started, let's go ahead and gather as much bamboo as we can get our hands on. A few stacks should be fine, for now. And let's bring those back with us to camp. Now, if you remember from our previous snapshots, we arranged our bamboo in a 2x2 grid to make ourselves some bamboo planks, from which we could make all of the other variants of bamboo wood. But that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. I have my bamboo positioned correctly, but nothing is happening. Okay, let's try something else. Let's place them instead in a 3x3 grid and see what happens. A brand new block of bamboo. That's what happens. So it looks like from this point forward, bamboo will be used exclusively to make bamboo blocks, which are kind of analogous to the wood logs that we have for every other wood type. And it's then from this new block of bamboo that we'll be able to craft the bamboo planks, and from there, all the other variants of the bamboo wood. Alright, let's see how this looks. Ooh, very nice. I can tell right off the bat it does have the same texture as the bamboo planks, but it has this new green hue to it that really makes it fit nicely within our current surroundings. Being in a jungle biome with all the surrounding bamboo, my first impression is that it looks really good. It seems to fit in really well. And from what it looks like, it even has a new texture on the top and bottom of the block that's meant to look like the ends of the bamboo shoots, which I really like. Very similar to the bamboo raft. It gives the block a new aesthetic that makes it kind of appear as if a bunch of bamboo has been tied together in a bundle, but in block form. And unlike the bamboo planks, which have the same orientation regardless of how they're placed, just like the other wood planks, the bamboo block is directional, much like all the other wood logs. So when we place one on the ground like normal, it'll have this vertical orientation that we're all familiar with. And then when we place one against the side of a block, it'll have a horizontal orientation, which kind of looks like the siding you see on some of the homes here where I live in the US, so I can definitely see this being very useful as a new building block. Altogether though, the green here adds a whole new color to the wood palette that we currently have in the game. And I will note that this is a feature that I've seen many within the community asking for since the initial release of bamboo planks. Also noteworthy, with the ability to place these in a horizontal direction, the texture now lines up really well with other planks, so I can now possibly see this being a little bit more compatible with other wood types. But I don't know, they may have to tweak the green hue a bit for this to work, because at the moment I can't really quite find a way to make the green here work well with other existing woods. I'd probably need a little bit more time to play with them though to see if I could make something work. It's too early to tell. But there is one block that they're almost guaranteed to go well with. Alright, let's see what we have here. Ah, perfect, an axe, just what I needed. Currently, we have the ability to strip the logs of every wood in the game. So it would only be natural if we could do the same with bamboo blocks, right? Let's try it. Very nice, of course it works. So now we're left with a stripped block of the bamboo that looks almost identical to the planks. And that's because the side texture here is identical to the planks. Aside from the new textures at both ends, these blocks really do look a lot alike. I can imagine the justification here is that all of the existing bamboo planks are meant to appear as if they too have been stripped in the process of crafting them, even though we've really just received them from a crafting table. So by attaching the wood stripping mechanic to the bamboo block, we now have a bit of a rationale behind why the original bamboo in nature was green and why the planks instead take on a more yellowed hue like the scaffolding. I think it ties everything together really nicely. And of course, because this is a stripped version of the bamboo block, this also means that we have the ability to control the orientation of these blocks as well. So we're no longer restricted to having planks that only align themselves vertically. We can just orient these new blocks horizontally and it simply looks like the planks themselves have been reoriented. These new blocks are great, and I am more than happy to add them to my carpentry tool belt. Now, before we leave this place, let's do a little bit more carpentry to see what the yield looks like from a fresh haul of wood gathering. Let's say, after some time collecting wood, we had 9 full stacks of bamboo. We go to our crafting table, and very conveniently, we have just enough to fill up the table, from which we get 1 full stack of bamboo blocks. Yeah, that's pretty expensive. To put that even more into perspective, if our entire inventory were full of bamboo, including our hotbar, that would give us just 4 stacks of bamboo blocks. So crafting bamboo wood is going to be a lot of hard work. With that being said, bamboo is one of the easiest items in this game to farm. So once we had a decent bamboo farm set up, getting the materials wouldn't be the issue. It would be manually going through chests full of bamboo and individually crafting 1 stack of bamboo blocks at a time. Not something I'm particularly looking forward to. Anyway, now that we have our full stack of bamboo blocks, the real question is how many planks we can craft from that. For every other wood type, a wood log when placed on a crafting table yields 4 planks of that wood. So that would apply to bamboo as well, right? Oh no. Oh no. Please tell me that's a bug. I don't think it is. So from the looks of it, we only get 2 bamboo planks from every bamboo block, compared to the 4 that we normally get from other wood logs. To recap, 9 full stacks of bamboo yields 1 stack of bamboo blocks, which yields 2 stacks of bamboo planks. So yeah, we've got our work cut out for us if we want to do any major builds with bamboo. And with that, it's time to pack up our things and be on our way. For we have one last stop to revisit. To a place where we are likely unwelcome. Okay, we're back. And unfortunately, our next feature is in there. But before we go in, I need to prepare myself. Yes, this will do nicely. Okay, I think I'm ready. I suppose there's only one way to find out. We'll need to stay sharp. We're looking for something they call a vex. And whoa! That was close. Anyway, to find one of these vexes, we're gonna need to seek out an evoker, the powerful spellcasters that summon these creatures. And now that I think of it, I believe they hang out on the top floor. So we should probably begin to make our way up. Okay, there it is. We found an evoker. Now all we need to do is provoke it so that we can study the vexes that it summons. Wish me luck. Oh no, here we go. Okay, there they are. Oh wow, look at them. They look so clean. I mean, yeah, they're trying to kill me right now, but they look so good. I almost don't even want to fight back. Okay, hold on. Let's pause here for a moment. I want to start by making clear the changes that have been made here to the vex are purely visual, but in a big way. Not only have they visually refreshed the Vex with a new texture, but they've also given it an entirely new look by updating its model. For comparison, here's what the Vex used to look like, and here is what it looks like now. It is a night and day difference. It looks so much better. And you know what they remind me of? The LA. They have a very similar, and I would say more modernized look now to fit where Minecraft is today, compared to when the Vex was first introduced to the game back in 2016. And I love it. I think for me, the reason this change is so big is because of what it could mean for other mobs in the game as well. There are so many mobs that have been in this game for several years, and when you compare them to some of the newer ones that have been added recently, you can't help but notice how out of date they look. So what I'm most looking forward to is the possibility that more visual and animated changes like this will be coming to other mobs as well, to make the game feel like it wasn't made in 2010. One last thing I'll mention here is that the model of the Vex is quite small, smaller than it previously was, which would make it very difficult to fight. So they've also made sure that the Vex retains a slightly oversized hitbox to make it easier to fight. Alright, I think I've seen enough. Let's get out of here while we can. Okay, now that we're safe, let's take a moment to review the last major change in this snapshot. It just wouldn't be complete without another round of changes to the creative inventory. And they are not small changes either. They've actually added 2 completely new tabs, and we'll start with the one that's right in front of us, the Colored Blocks tab. This tab contains all of the blocks in the game that have a full spectrum of 16 color variants. That includes a range of blocks like wool, terracotta, concrete, and glass. So they've actually just completely moved all the colored blocks that were previously in the Building Blocks tab into this tab. And their justification for this is that they're trying to make the tabs, like the Building Blocks tab, just a little less cluttered and easier to navigate, which seems to be the theme of this week's changes. Overall though, I can't complain. I think it's a very nice new addition to the creative inventory. The other tab they've added is hidden by default. You'll notice, if we go to the redstone tab and scroll to the bottom, the operator blocks they added last week are gone. But no worries though, because if we pause the game, make our way to the controls menu, we'll find a new toggle for the operator items tab. It's switched off by default, but when we switch it on, the operator utilities tab should appear. And I say should because it'll only appear if you have the required operator permissions. And I've mentioned this before, but if you're in a single player world, that shouldn't be an issue. Okay, once we're in the tab, we can clearly see that they have really expanded the list of operator items that we have access to, including a structure block that was previously missing and a command block minecart, as well as all of the variants of the light blocks to make it easier to quickly pick and choose which light level you want to access for a build. They also renamed 2 of the tabs, so the consumables tab is now the food and drinks tab, which honestly sounds so much better, and the crafting tab is now the ingredients tab, which feels to me like a much better descriptive since not all of the items here are used in crafting, but they are all used as ingredients of some kind. They also reordered the natural blocks tab again for better consistency, including moving the eggs in between the seeds and single block plants, and placing the climbable plants above the double block plants. In the food and drinks tab, the cooked versions of raw food are now right next to each other, which is actually how I tend to organize my own food in early game survival, so this feels very natural to me. In the redstone blocks tab, in addition to removing the operator blocks, they also moved higher importance items that are used most often up to the top, and they even removed all the variants of doors, trapdoors, buttons, and boats that don't have any real functional differences. So now we just have the standard oak version of each of these. And the purpose of this was to try and declutter this space so that we can easily see what all of our options are when we're working with redstone. Having every single variant of doors, trapdoors, buttons, and boats just doesn't really make sense here and takes up several rows of space. So I love it. This tab feels much less cluttered now. In the ingredients tab, the lapis has been placed in an order that is now consistent with the order of the ore blocks. They also moved the Bottle of Experience from the Tools and Utilities tab and into the Ingredients tab next to the Enchanting books. They added all of the axes to the Combat tab, so they can now be found in both tool-related tabs now. And they finally added all of the Suspicious Stews to the Food and Drinks tab. Great quality of life change here. Now, if you need a specific stew, you don't have to look up the recipe to craft it or use a command. You can just access it right from the menu. And the tooltip will actually show you what the effect of each stew is before it's picked up from the creative inventory. But once you pick it up and place it somewhere else, the effect becomes hidden like it's meant to be. They also added pressure plates and buttons of each type to the building blocks tab, almost all of the light related blocks to the top of the functional blocks tab, all 3 flight durations of fireworks to the tools and utilities tab next to the elytra and to the combat tab next to the crossbow, and the Eye of Ender next to the in portal frame block in the functional blocks tab for better ease of use. And I believe that's it. Sources tell me that this may actually be the final round of inventory changes this time. But who knows, they also said that last week. Either way, I'm pretty happy with these changes, and I'm looking forward to working in creative mode once they've finally implemented this into the update. Before we wrap this up, there are a few minor changes as well that have been made. The new default skins they announced at Minecraft Live have been added for offline players. The music that was added during the Wild update has been tweaked to be a little less loud. And when opening a shulker box, any blocks requiring support that are attached to an open face will just pop off. Makes perfect sense. And that is it. There are of course a small handful of technical changes and even more bug fixes as well that you can find on the official Snapshot page. But aside from that, we have just about covered everything. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you're enjoying these features as much as I am, and I'd love to know your thoughts. Don't be shy. Share what you're most excited about or possibly even critical of in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this week's snapshot. If you enjoyed the video, please do me a favor and like and subscribe. That would really help me get this channel off of the ground and would make it so that you don't miss the details of future snapshots. Again, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.